play out real time. I mean, we're seeing Seymour Hersh, who's a Pulitzer Prize winning journalist, at war with the New York Times over Nord Stream right now. And that's just happening in front of us. Like the US government is denying that we did Nord Stream. Seymour Hersh thinks otherwise. And that is just.
What does the New York Times take on it?
Oh man, if we can bring this up, I don't want to abuse Jamie's powers, but they on Easter, their post of the Nord Stream situation was so egregious. They said it may be best that the truth is not revealed about this. Like it's.
Why?
I mean, because they probably think nuclear warfare is on the table. It would be a false flag. Look at this.
Suspicions multiply as Nord Stream sabotage remains unsolved. Intelligence leaks surrounding the sabotage of the pipelines have provided more questions than answers. It may be in no one's interest to reveal more. What? That's wild. I mean, you literally are in the business of revealing more. I mean, that's what you're supposed to be doing. If the United States government is engaging in something that is potentially dangerous to the human civilization, because we can start a fucking nuclear war because of this, if you don't report on that, that's going to allow more of that shit to take place.
I can't believe those words were printed and they're still there. Like how can that be where we're at? In terms of where it's going, like honestly, I think that we are on the precipice of a whole new paradigm and level of access to information that is just going to be like a total shift in humanity. I think we're getting closer. And I mean that with regards to classified information coming out, corporate secret information coming out. It's happening. Yeah. I mean, it's happening. What we're seeing from the Twitter files, which Elon just did, he became a whistleblower on himself.
Yeah.
And I mean, the amount of information that gave us, and they were denying it for years and gaslighting everybody. It's so egregious and dark.
It's so dark, and they don't have any punishment on the table, which is really crazy. When you saw Vidya testifying, and she had to kind of admit things that they've said in the past that were not true, it's really fascinating to watch that, because the ramifications of that, it's so dangerous. It's so dangerous to limit the truth and deny the truth. And when you're something like a social media network that is basically the town square for the world, and you're doing that, and you're doing that based on your ideology, and you're doing that based on input from intelligence communities,
it's social engineering.
Yeah.
That's what it is.
Yeah.
It is their guide. They want to guide us in this particular way.
Yes.
And because they don't think we can handle it.
Right.
Which maybe we can't. I don't know. I mean, if the truth about all of the deep corruption came out to the extent that is real, I mean, it could cause wars. It could, but at the same time, I actually don't think that. I think that ultimately, the best thing for, America is for transparency to kind of happen and for us to fix it.
The problem is, the idea is that we're in competition with China, and China does not allow that. So we will hinder ourselves in our ability to compete with them. That's the argument. And it's not a good argument, right? Because this country has a very robust belief in free speech. It's one of the reasons why, dissent is tolerated. It's one of the reasons why we can get away with what we get away with. It's like we have protection in this country, and it's really the only country that has that. And the idea that in order to compete with China, we have to become China is fucking gross.
It's not true, I don't think.
I don't think it is either.
I think the competition that we have because of free enterprise, free speech, like the reason we have the best businesses in the world is because of that.
Yes.
It wouldn't be allowed to happen in other countries. They just scoop them up and then,
Right.
Distort the vision. So
Which stifles
it's a
innovation.
national security risk to not be transparent with the American people. All this banning crypto, Restrict Act, all of this stuff is devastating for innovation. I mean, that's the edge of innovation. So,
Right.
I mean, these lawmakers don't understand the technology. It's hard to understand.
It's hard to
be fair,
understand, and
yeah.
they don't even care to understand it. They're not even reading the stuff. They're just saying whatever they think their constituents want to hear, or whatever the public narrative is, or whatever the government is pushing, and they just sort of pile on and repeat the propaganda.
I mean, rather than banning Bitcoin, the U.S. government should be stockpiling Bitcoin right now. It is a national security risk to not do that, because what if all of the other countries do that? They're all moving. De-dollarization is occurring. Brazil, Russia, China, Brazil, they're all starting to trade, outside of the petrodollar.
Yeah.
And and Bitcoin adoption is occurring in these other countries. I mean, so even as a hedge, our country should be stockpiling. What if all these other countries, and it blows up and it becomes the global reserve currency, and then the U.S. is just out of luck because we didn't participate because we were trying to be, too heavy-handed with it.
Yeah.
It doesn't mean that like the Bitcoin and the dollar can coexist and should coexist. Like it's not necessarily one or the other, but I mean, yeah, we just need a new wave of politicians who are gonna open up.
Is that gonna happen?
I don't know.
I doubt it. I have to take a leak. Let's come back. So this is kind of wild. Jeremy Corbell just sent me this. He said he asked the project manager for the government's largest UFO program if our government has in possession downed flying saucers. Said for the first time being interviewed on camera about this, he answered publicly, and the answer was yes.
Oh shit.
What the
Are we back?
Yeah, we're back.
Here we go.
What does that mean? I just sent it to you, Jamie. Let's watch it to see what your take on this, because I know that you're fascinated by the subject too. This is a bizarre subject when it comes to disclosure. Let's hear this. I don't hear anything.
Maybe it's nothing, but what do you know about the phenomenon, about UFOs? What can you say for sure? Maybe it's nothing, but what do we know about UFOs, and where does this go?
As I said, what we know is what we gleaned from all of the data that has been discussed. And, that the
UFOs are real.
I
mean, they tell me.
Yes, UFOs are technologically sophisticated. They have performance characteristics that are, the 5 observables are sort of well documented, but they also have very profound effects on some people, or they have superficial effects on other people, but they do have effects on people. So going forward is to combine both of those, is to study UFO performance, and the hope is that out of UFO performance can come theoretical physics, which will eventually translate into engineering.
Does our government have downed UFOs from unknown origin that they've been trying and are trying to reverse engineer and exploit those technologies, to understand the physics, and understand that technology? Do we have that to work with?
I can't talk about that, but the answer is yes.
So this is from Weaponized, Jeremy Corbell and George Knapp's podcast. Just that answer alone.
So who is Combe? Who is he?
Well, he is, according to Jeremy, he is a program manager for the government's largest UFO program.
Which